Welcome to Shruti Outloud. Hi Paridhi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, first of all, for giving me the privilege to be on your platform today. So it's
I
a
am
big, big privilege.
so I am so glad that you agreed because the first time we met and how we met, it was in McLeodganj and it was just a
Yeah,
very random thing that actually happened. And since
yeah.
then, honestly, I just knew that there is something about this girl and I just don't know. It was just there, so I'm so glad that today we are connecting on this platform. We are talking about life, we are talking about so many things, and just
Yeah.
my heartfelt thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm actually it's so bad that we never had an opportunity to travel together again after that. And I keep
Oh,
looking at your
yeah.
travel stories and looking at all the fun that you have with the girls, and I feel like, oh my God, why are we so far away? Why can we not be traveling together? So
I know,
yeah,
but I think we'll find a way someday. I'm pretty
yeah,
sure that you and me, we have to do it once again, and yep, we just have to explore the world
yeah,
together, at least some part of
yes. Yes, for
it.
sure. So I think like that should be on our agenda once all of this is over and we rediscover the world together.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm in for it completely. Let's just,
Great.
wait for this thing to settle down a bit and the world should get a little less crazier. And yeah,
Yeah.
I think we'll be good to go after that.
Nice. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. So I'll chase you for planning a trip together.
Absolutely. And maybe, you can be my sort of, my muse or my inspiration to finally make it to Europe. And
Oh yes,
possibly,
please. Please,
yeah,
please, please.
possibly we can
Oh yes.
fix some part of it together and we'll be like, okay, chalo, let's go.
Totally. Would love it. Would love to take you around here.
So perfect. All right.
Yeah.
So before we dig into the conversation that we are going to dig into, I would like the audience to know a bit about you. So I will just, introduce you just a little bit and then you just sort of carry it forward from there.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
today we have Paridhi, who is the author of a book called All We Ever Look For. And in her words, her goal is mainly to inspire people to make a life and not just a living. So from here, Paridhi, please just take it ahead from there.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Shruti. So I would like, let's go back in time. I was struggling and always chasing the dreams, most conventional dreams like we all chase, trying to get into the best college, then trying to figure out the best job, and then eventually I made it in 2013 to Harvard Medical School, but I found myself so dissatisfied with it that I couldn't carry on with the PhD in the best school in this world, that I branched out and moved back to India from Boston. And from that moment on, I just knew that I had to dedicate the rest of my life to exploring and figuring out what I really love the most, because I realized that in the most developing years back then, I did not invest so much of my time and energy in figuring out what I really love. Instead, I was just trying to focus on things that the society usually wants us to do. And that's what most of us usually do.
Absolutely.
So that's when my entrepreneurial journey started. And I just started exploring the world. And back in my head, I somehow knew that I had to inspire people around me to do the same, because everybody was stuck in this vicious circle and they were not able to get out of it. So I this book was basically written with the purpose of inspiring people to explore themselves and explore lives beyond the conventional system that our society really wants us to stick to.
Right.
So Yeah. And so yeah, like I came back from Harvard, started co-founded a startup with my boyfriend that time and husband now. So we ran a startup for around 2 years before the startup decided to crash really hard on us, and that's when I decided to take up a job in Singapore and
Mm-hmm.
start my international travels basically. So I moved to Singapore in 2015, and my only purpose to take that job up was to have a paycheck that lets me travel around Southeast Asia because it was so beautiful in Thailand and like Malaysia
Right.
and Indonesia. So I was just really enamored by the whole idea of being in a different country every weekend because you're just a very cheap
Yeah.
flight away from Singapore. So yeah, and that's how like Singapore happened. And Singapore, I've I I've been living in Singapore. I lived in Singapore from 2015 until only last year when we moved to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was working in a fintech company as a digital marketer and a growth hacker, I decided to finally take the leap to give myself to the book 100%. So I saved enough to give myself a year where I go anywhere I wanted to go without worrying about the money or the paycheck. So I
Right.
saved, I banked up on the bonuses, got like some hikes on the pay, and like did a lot of things, did some extra
Uh-huh.
jobs, some like startup coaching. So but, like really put, saved, and then eventually gave up my job in March 2017 and took off for Paris and
Right.
spent a year just going around. And like one of the most interesting things that I did that year was farming on a vineyard in north of Italy. And like
Beautiful.
I really dedicated that year to writing and then figuring out what I really liked and eventually settling
Wow.
down with my own selves. And then yeah, that's how the book came out. And that's briefly my story.
All right. So before we move ahead from everything that you just said, I have two questions.
Yeah.
So the first question is, when you decided to sort of, quit on Harvard, how did your family take it when you just decided to come back to India? What was their reaction? And yeah, so how did they take it basically?
They absolutely hated me, by the way. And I really tell the
Okay.
world about that. Even the book talks about it because I don't think conventional parents or like any parent would really want their child to come back from something so like
Absolutely.
such a well-established place to come back and say, okay, I just want to explore what I want to do in life. So it comes as a shocker for them, and they were almost like at a place where they couldn't say that because we're Indian parents. They can't
Uh-huh.
you really can't say that, but they really meant that we want to disown you right now. So yeah, it was a long like really disastrous situation for them. Honestly, it was more than an earthquake for my parents. My mom,
Yeah.
this can't happen, and why are you coming back? And you're coming back, you're not going back. What is this going on? So yeah, but now I think they're now of course they are very happy
Absolutely.
with where I am right now. So of course it's nothing, none of that really matters anymore. But yeah, that time they hated me for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So also, so when you took this decision, when you were back there, and in that moment, were you sort of, maybe during some moments, were you sort of torn between these two situations where possibly on one hand you were possibly thinking that, okay, you know what, I will complete it and then I will follow my dreams, and on the other hand, the other side of you, it was just telling you, just, let it go and just follow your dream and you don't have to complete it. So was that ever a situation, and how did you
Yeah.
handle it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, I don't think I have answered, like, talked about this often to anybody about
Mhm.
how I felt. But honestly, yeah, it was too much of a debate going on between my good demon and bad demon inside
Right.
me. And then it was a constant struggle to because it's a risky situation when you decide to take such a big leap and actually branch out, because from there's no going back, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So you
Absolutely.
have to have a reason so strong enough to convince your own self that okay, if you do this, then you just do this and you never ever regret doing this. So you have
Right.
to be that strong in that situation. So I used to have conversations with my professors and fellow researchers about this. And then I clearly remember it was one fine day when I had spent 2 nights in the laboratory working on mice, and
Mm-hmm.
I was shit scared because this particular lab was a part of a hospital, Massachusetts
Mm-hmm.
General Hospital, and the whole, like, maybe I was sleepless for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there was this weird energy in the lab, and I just wanted to get out of it. And at that moment I couldn't, because I had to wait until the morning and there was
Uh,
nobody in the lab.
oh,
And I
wow.
just realized I can't be just killing mice all my life. Honestly, there's this girl who I met over drinks who left
Mm-hmm.
her PhD halfway, like 4 years into her PhD, and got a job in Boston Consulting Group. So I was just having a chat with her about this the next week, I think the weekend after, and
Mm-hmm.
I asked her, like, does it not feel bad that you've already invested 4 years into something and then you're giving up on it to take up a job? Why not just complete it? It's just two or
Right,
three more
right,
years
right.
more to go. So she was so convinced with herself, and she had such strong reasons that I just, like, resonated with her so much. She said that she can't see herself working in the hood, under the hood in the lab for another extra day.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked myself that question that night, that do I see myself working in that hood without going out and exploring anything an extra day or maybe another
Right.
day? And my answer was no. So
Mm-hmm.
it just came to me then. And I was like, no matter whoever is trying to convince me to stay, if I'm not convinced myself, there's no point staying here. So
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, of course, when I look back, I was having this word with my husband that I feel that I could have done some good to the world in the situations of COVID-19, because I was working on like
Mm-hmm.
situations like these, because I was working on organ transplant, and I was actually working on a
Mm.
drug which helps in longevity of an organ transplant, basically lung transplant. So
Oh,
right, like
okay.
that time back then, it was the longevity of a lung transplant, like a new lung in a system, was
Uh-huh.
10 years. So I was working on a drug which was going to make it 15 to 20 years. So I was
Ah,
like,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
in times like these, I do feel, but I don't
Yeah,
feel bad, because that was what was needed for me. So people can call me
absolutely.
selfish. I gave into my own um, dreams or desires to give up on the lab thing, but I
Right.
clearly hated mice for testing
Yeah,
drugs on
absolutely,
them
absolutely.
to eventually
Yeah,
do a clinical launch for humans. So yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's that's you have said so much in such less words, to be very honest. Like you have, opened a window for all the audience to know basically that, yeah, this was also one of the main reasons that you were like, no, I don't want to go ahead with this. That I
Yeah.
don't want to, the statement as simple as this, that I don't want to kill mice. Yeah, as simple as that. So,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
All right. So my other question from the things
I
that
see
you
you're
said.
bringing back memories. Okay, what's the other question? Yeah. What's the
Yeah.
other question?
Okay. So the other question is that could you possibly just briefly tell how your days were when you were in Paris and working in the farming and all of that. So how was that like? How would your days go by normally?
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
take you
no.
back to a lot of places.
Yeah. Yeah. So no single day was similar or the same as the day before or the day after, honestly.
Mhm.
So in a very simple sentence, because every day was so much of like free flow of being whoever I wanted to be that day. Like if I
Uh-huh.
wanted to just hang out, be a cafe person and not talk to anybody, sit in a corner, I'd do that. The other day, if I
Mhm.
just wanted to go around and be all chatty with all the people around me, if I wanted to, if I felt like talking to the 75-year-old woman who was sitting and feeding the birds, I would
Uh-huh.
just sit with
Uh-huh.
the woman and just have like the best conversation in the world for 2 3 hours, and the time would just fly
Wow.
by. So this was a year where I had absolutely let gone of all control over what we should be doing in a certain rhythm in a certain day.
That's
So
beautiful.
yeah, so that's why I would say like no day was ever same as the
Mhm.
other. It was
Yeah, wow.
different, yeah.
That's really beautiful. These, like, you are talking about it, you have lived it, but somehow I am imagining all of these things, and it's making me so happy. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
it's honestly, we live
uh-huh,
under so many foundations given by our own selves to ourselves that, oh, we have to do a certain thing at a certain time. And honestly, like, I try to give a rhythm to my own body too, all the time. Like, okay, I
uh-huh,
should be working out at this time. Maybe I should be eating at this time. I should be having breakfast at this time. But I think that particular year, you just let go, like have a year like that, and it's such a beautiful feeling to have a year like that where you let go of all
yeah,
controls. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, actually, talking about this schedule and all, because I am also very, very strict with my schedules. And if I miss
Yeah.
the first thing on my schedule on one of the days, trust me, my whole day is just done. But
Yeah.
recently, I heard one of the episodes of Boss Babe, and there, one of the basically the host, she said that we get so used to the schedules and all that our brain basically it goes on the auto mode, and it
Mm.
stops creating things. So you
Yeah.
need to still keep juggling things up. Yes, maybe the schedule is still there, but just juggle it up a bit, and maybe
Yeah.
one of the days just don't follow it and be like, okay, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. So actually I am trying that, and I am actually loving it way more. That okay, you know
Wow,
what,
that's
let's just
amazing.
yeah. So I think the year that you gave to yourself, I think
Yeah.
schedules are important, but somehow
Mhm.
surprising yourself is equally important.
Exactly. And I absolutely would love to watch this episode that you're talking about or just listen to it. If you, yeah, I'd love to have the
Yeah,
link to this. It's
absolutely.
amazing because, yeah.
Paridhi, you have to start listening to Boss Babes. I'm telling
Okay.
you, I just recently started off with these women, and they are
Hmm.
magic. Like, I am not
Nice.
kidding. And every episode is like, you sit with a pen and paper and you just write down all these
Mhm.
beautiful things and inspiring and, just absolutely
Mhm.
amazing. So definitely
Wow,
check it
nice.
out.
For sure. For sure. I'm gonna do it. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So now we will sort of smoothly, glide into our next question. So,
Mhm.
all right. So how does it feel like being a published author?
Um, okay, so to be honest, it feels my only goal with the book was uh, to like really put it out there for people to read and
Right.
to have it out there for and having to like really know that people are able to find connection with the book, and then when they write to me, that's
Mhm.
what gives me a bigger feeling than just like having to publish it. So
Hmm.
when somebody writes to me that they've read the whole book and this is the part that they connected with and it's so true and they're like moved and they're inspired, every time somebody says, or it could be even a friend, like mostly initially all the books were read, like the books were read by most of my friends, and when people that they just found a different kind of connection with me again. So I was reconnected
Mhm.
with certain people, and some people I was connected to more than I would have ever imagined. And
Mhm.
I that's the feeling that I really like the most and I enjoy it the most because I'm able to connect through the book to people in a very different way that I had ever imagined. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that's the that's something that gives me a sense of fulfillment because that's
Mm-hmm.
what I really aim for. And there's no beating that feeling with anything. So it's just
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So it's more about, what happens post that, what happens post
Yeah.
people read your book and when they get in touch with you and they tell you that, yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine that that must be the most beautiful part actually. And it's something that, now that you have created this book, it's out there,
Yep.
it's there forever. So
Yeah.
these connections will keep finding you. And I think that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. But yeah, like it's such amazing feeling if you just ask like how does it feel. But yeah, like being a published author with a purpose was something that was more important, and that's done, like when I can see it getting fulfilled, it gives me a lot of fulfillment inside. So yeah.
Absolutely. I still have to read your book though, and I am actually, sort of waiting for it because for me it's more like,
Yeah.
books, they call you. Do you
Yep.
get that feeling that books
Yeah,
they
yeah,
just
I
call
totally,
you? So
totally,
I know your
totally,
book will
totally.
call me, but I am just sort of, letting it call me when it
Yeah.
wants me to sort of, let it be a part of my life.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
know it's gonna happen, and whenever it does, I am writing you a huge mail.
Sure, sure.
And then
And I totally believe the
possibly.
book. Yeah, 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 yeah. I agree with the sentence, like what you just said, that the books call you. And if, of course, like you could be hanging around with a book for months and months and you might not be able to finish or like even connect with the part of the book. You might just be pushing yourself through. So, yeah, totally agree with it.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I know your book is going to call me, but I'm just sort of, letting it decide when, because, it's books are very precious. Books are very, very, very precious. And
Yeah,
it's okay. Even if I have to wait for a little while, I am not going to force myself on the book. It's not like I will, force the book on me. It's more like, forcing myself on the book. So I don't
yeah,
want that because I want to read it with all the respect and everything. So, yep.
yeah.
So whenever it happens,
Great.
possibly a mail will follow, and then we'll be getting on a, the this call part two.
Perfect. I'm just waiting for the book to call you now.
I know. Absolutely.
Okay.
Uh, all
Yeah.
right. So, how long did it take for you to give a final nod before publishing it? Because, once it's your baby, obviously you are
Yeah.
always tweaking and, possibly changing
Yeah.
something or the other. So,
Yeah.
how did that final nod thing happen?
Okay. So okay, I'll be honest here, and it really took me a long, and I was like not convinced. I finished this book in 2017, by the end of 2017, around December or January 2018. Yeah, like that was when I wrote the last line on in the book.
All right.
But it took me like more than a year. It was, and I published it in 2019. So, like
Oh,
you're saying that the book needs to call you, right? I
right.
can relate to the same thing, and I'll maybe you'll be able to get this. So I wasn't able to write the final, like the closing chapter of the book,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't get myself to. So I flew back to India. I had like a couple of months in India, then went back to Singapore, traveled a lot, uh, stayed, like figured out a good place for myself to stay, and maybe this was the place where I could write a last chapter, and then
Right.
went on hunting for cafes. I couldn't just write the last chapter to get it published. And then I was also telling myself maybe I'm overthinking and maybe I'm not able to just give myself 100% satisfaction that, oh, the book is ready. You should just
Mm-hmm.
maybe say one and just put it out. But I
Right.
wasn't convinced myself, and I don't know why. Like, what was that holding me back? But
Right.
then, so the thing that I did in 2017, I did it again in 2019. So, like Shantanu and my husband and I, we both had
Mm-hmm.
really good jobs in Singapore. But like
Mm-hmm.
Singapore kills my creativity, and I'll be honest, I know that this can hurt a lot of people, but it does. Like, I just have to probably because it's a very conventional concrete jungle, and the conversations
Uh-huh.
that I have with is very different from what I'll have with people here on the road or even in India.
Right.
So I just couldn't get myself to write the last chapter, and I just felt like the roads of Europe or the farms were calling us, and
Uh-huh.
we had a word, and we decided to give up on like really comforting jobs or a situation that we were in, an amazing apartment and everything, and we packed our bags and we just flew to Amsterdam in July 2019. No, it wasn't
Wow.
July, June 2000. So
Hmm.
that's when I was finally, like, when we were in Amsterdam, when we were in Europe, when we were on the road, I was finally able to really compile the last chapter and
Wow.
give it a not, okay, let's put it out there, and published it in September 2019. So yeah, it took a
Ah.
really, really like
Hmm.
2 years. Yeah, you can call it 2 years from like really having put all the pages together to finally
Right.
writing the last chapter and compiling and giving it a final go. Okay, publish now.
Yeah. Wow. Hmm. All
Hmm.
right. So, what was one of the most surprising things you learned, when you were creating this
Hmm.
beautiful book or baby or whatever you want to call it, basically?
Yeah. 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 So I realized that like I always used to think I was a comfortable writer and I could write pages and pages, but I realized like for anything to have a flow, I needed to have something that instigates me and find that one connection with this book, even though like you don't have to really give it a flow from the very beginning, but there has
Mm-hmm.
to be one thing that keeps coming back to you, which is the soul of the book throughout the book. And what will that be? I just didn't know in the beginning, but it just came so easy to me. And I realized that each time I was talking to a new person on the road, or like this passionate, really mad, inspiring person, could be anybody, could be a musician, could be an artist, could be an engineer, could be a scientist. But the way they talked about what they really do in life or what they love and what they really like, why they are so passionate about something, what their reasons are, they just instigated me to write. And so I realized like it's the people, it's the really passionate people about anything that motivate me to write more and more every day. So the more so there have been times I was in a cab. There's this service in Europe called blah car. I am not sure if it's in India as well. It's like you can hitch a ride and you go together with six people from one place to the other. So
Right.
I remember like, and I've mentioned that in the book as well. Like everybody in the car, there were five, six people. They had
Mm-hmm.
such interesting stories to share. Somebody who was a
Hmm.
journalist and was going to like capture this whole story on feminism because there was a talk going on in Madrid, and this guy who was creating noise music. Like he created some music which he called noise music, which I never ever heard of. But he makes
Uh-huh.
this music with like tin cans and basically anything that he can get his hands on, and they picks them
Uh-huh.
up and makes music out of it. And he talked about how he
Oh,
learned it and where he learned it from. So like all these interesting people who I met on the road were the people who actually inspired me to write every day. Like there was so much to write every day about these people. So I used to like kind of record sometimes conversation that I would have with these people so that if they wouldn't mind. Otherwise, I was
um,
always taking notes separately on my phone so that I don't forget something that was really important about this person that shouldn't be missed in the book. So
wow, I
yeah.
love that. Absolutely. So every day, as you said, every day was full of surprises and new
Yeah.
stories, new inspirations, something
Yeah.
new every day, basically.
Yeah, 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 totally. Like, but of course it got like tiring to an extent. I wasn't like always talking or meeting up with people every day because it also gets tiring, and also you'll accumulate so much content in your head that if you really don't translate it into paper or bring it on ink in paper, then you will just lose track of everything that just happened. So like I
Absolutely.
used to cut myself some slack and also have some spaces for myself where I was just writing for a prolonged period of time.
Wow. Yeah, it
Yeah.
must have been a very, very interesting 1 year, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was totally, absolutely, without doubt. I want to have another year like that, maybe when I'm a couple of years down, when, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, I've had enough of life now and I should take a year
yeah,
off.
absolutely. Perfect.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, as I was saying that we have talked a bit about your journey already,
Mm-hmm.
but because we have been going to and fro with questions and answers. So, um, have we missed on anything that you would want us to know, like, the audience to know that, yeah, like, this was also a part of it, or this was my particular inspiration, or any particular incident, or anything basically that you just want to share with us about your journey?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I have like so many, but I'll pick one. So I'm
Right.
giving myself a second to choose which one should I pick because this is an
Okay.
interesting question.
Absolutely.
Okay, so okay, I know which one I'm gonna pick. Okay,
Hmm.
so this is a woman, 82-year-old woman I met in this suburbs of Paris, 40 minutes away from Paris. She was called
Uh-huh.
Joelle, and
Uh-huh.
she didn't speak like a word of English, and I didn't speak a word of French, but somehow I don't know how, like the whole story, of course, it can go on, it can become really long, but yeah, we found this connection, and she became my French teacher. So she used to like
Oh.
voluntarily teach me French every afternoon. And it's like I found a buddy in a 82-year-old person, and she found a friend in me. So she
Oh.
used to drive me around the most beautiful countryside villages of France and take me to like beautiful art galleries and really like find a way to actually translate and communicate with me. So of course, we use Google Translate for that matter,
Right.
and she like really, and her story was really inspiring because she had a husband who left her and her kids when the kids
Mm-hmm.
were like 5, 9, and 3 years old. And she
Okay.
basically actually built herself up from that and like really, she was a strong person. She's the epitome of the strongest woman I've ever met. So she just left a mark on how an individual, even after going through so much in life, can really enjoy life. And like on the weekends, you can literally see her basking in the sun in her backyard, putting her nail paint
Uh-huh.
on, putting the best lipstick on, and she would just like relax
Oh.
with the sun and just talk about the sun to me. And she would like say, il est soleil, like there's
Uh-huh.
this
Uh-huh.
sun, and like in French, and then c'est joli. So c'est joli would be like it's beautiful, and life is beautiful, and the
Oh.
world is beautiful, and we would communicate. We would just maybe spend hours walking her. So one of her um uh, daughter's husband, who were also of course divorced, but it's so crazy in the Western world. Honestly, like this is
Yeah.
how it works. But then she used to like take care of the dog sometimes when the guy used to be
Oh.
away some. And so we would like go into the forest walking the dog for hours and hours, and then we will just like be in the forest, find a huge rock to sit on, and just like breathe together and maybe not talk for really long or maybe talk. And so yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
this was something where I found a connection and a friend in such an old person, which I've never experienced ever before in my life, honestly.
Wow.
And
That's
yeah, so she would also like sometimes make dinner, get wine, and she's the
uh-huh.
person who's actually inspired me and given me knowledge about all the really good French wines that I know. So anything that I know about wine
Ah.
right now comes from her. So yes.
Wow. That's absolutely heart melting. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. It was an amazing experience to be around her for like I was there for hanging out with her for a couple of months, so it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you sometimes don't know, obviously, for mostly for everybody, basically, the uncertainty and, the fear of being an unknown,
Yeah.
it makes us travel in the most, I would say, in the most safest ways. That,
Yeah.
okay, we'll go to this place, from here we'll to da 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 da, and it's everything is defined. But
Yeah.
until and unless you just let yourself go, you you that's how you end up meeting such beautiful people and making
Yeah.
such amazing connections.
Yeah, yeah. I, of course, like you have to let go of the fear first that somebody who you'd be talking to would like there could be something wrong, because you have to be like completely free of the fears that you might have in talking to a stranger or anybody you might, because
Absolutely.
I think fear really lets us like holds us back from establishing connections that we would otherwise in this world so beautifully do. Like we're
Right.
always
So
judging
true.
so much. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Hmm. That's an amazing story, and thank you for sharing that with us.
Great.
And all right, so now I'm just going to say something and just speak your heart out. All right?
Okay. Mhm.
All right. So home away from home. Just go ahead and let your mind wander, let your heart wander, let your soul wander and just talk.
Um, so, okay, honestly, haven't really come across a place which I can really, really call home, but I have found connections in different parts of this world or in different people where which I feel like I can like whom I can confide in, and I find home in people more than in places. So
Hmm.
I feel that like home is in like home could be different places, but my home keeps moving, and I really that's why like my only goal is to find the connection with the soul of this world, because I feel home is in people instead of just one particular place, which I can't really pick a place in this world and say, okay, this is the place I want to live forever and ever, and I'll not move my ass from
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I haven't
Right.
found a place like that. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my answer. That's like how I feel about it. Home away from home.
All right. Okay, so now we will, sort of. Oh, by the way, before we go ahead, I have to absolutely say this once again. Although I did it when we were live on Instagram,
Yeah,
but this
yeah.
line that you just said, that, soul of the world, it just, keeps, just you sort of just take away my heart with that. That, okay, all right, now
So
you've
much.
said it.
Thank you so much, Shruti. But this was an amazing opportunity to like really come on this platform. Thank you for letting me come on your platform and talk about it. It's such an amazing initiative by you, and I will make sure that as much as I can, I'm going to attend all your Instagram lives because they are so inspiring. I absolutely loved the last one I watched,
Uh-huh.
and there's no better way to make people who are the non-conventional people come together and talk about and good things and inspire each other. So it's such a beautiful initiative. I absolutely love it, and more power to you, girl.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I think, this thing is there that when somebody is moving ahead, or trying something new or following their passion, a lot of people, they either get a bit, bitter or insecure or jealous. So this is the tribe that I want to build, that just support each other, support in just by, as you said, that you will try and attend all the Instagram live. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm so thankful to you for saying that, because this is all we need to build a better world.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally, totally am with you in this journey. And like anything ever, you need anything in this journey. And if I could really contribute even in slightest bit, I would do that.
Thank you so
This
much.
is,
Thank you. I am really looking forward to, to meet all these people from your tribe and possibly, invite them
yeah,
for some amazing
yeah,
conversations. And
yeah,
that would be amazing, because I know that, I know my connection with you and I can easily trust all your connections. So I am
yeah.
just waiting for that to happen. That, hey, let's get,
Yay!
more people, crazy
Yeah,
people, bad people, as you said, just
yeah,
let's do
yeah. Totally. Thank you so much, Shruti. Absolutely loved it coming here, and it was such a privilege. I would say that again. Thank you so much.
it. Right. You're welcome. I would, we can just keep saying this again and again, but
Yeah, yeah.
let's, so, all right. So, the next set of questions are more about your
Mhm.
journey as a writer,
Mhm.
because so far now we have covered about life and traveling and all of that. But let's
Mhm.
dig a bit deeper into your journey as a writer,
Mhm.
right? So, what are the common traps for aspiring writers according to you?
Uh, okay, so I can talk about my own experience, like how it happened with me.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, I feel like when I started writing, I was trying to give everything a structure, and I was getting trapped in the whole structural myth that I had given like I had drawn for myself, that this is a structure that I need to follow, and this is a particular hour of the day that I need to write. Of course, discipline is important, and you really need to write every day. Otherwise, you'll realize that you're losing track of things that you really wanted to document. But too much of structure also spoils creativity, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I tried to give so what I did to deal with that was let myself be like free, give myself a little free flow kind of writing. Of course,
Right.
one thing should be common. It could be anything. Like for me, it was the people I met on the road. But it
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to have a structure so much. Okay, like for this person, I have to write, introduce this person in a certain way, and then this is what's going to happen, and that's when I'm going to talk about the story. So I took away the structure from it. I just wrote about the flow of conversation that I had with these individuals, and it could be anything. And it was never really with the purpose of writing a book. So I realized that I didn't want to get trapped in the structure. Only then I was able to take the book forward, and I told myself that no matter what the book comes out to be, whatever it shapes
Mm-hmm.
as, we can always restructure it in the end. So first,
Right.
like, just go right, however random or however free flow that seems to other people. Just right.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Right. I think so. Yeah. Obviously, everybody has their own, I would say, traps. But yeah, I think this is one of the common things that writers do go through. And yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good suggestion that, let yourself be a little free. And yeah,
Yeah.
structure, all of these things can be worked out towards the end also. But
Yeah.
absolutely, just, give yourself a little bit of direction, that this is the direction that you have to take, and then let
Mhm.
yourself be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, totally. Yep, you put it in much simpler words than I did. Great. Mm.
I just sort of picked your words and just, yeah, basically reframed them a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
So, do you think having a big ego or ego of any kind helps or hurts the writer? I'm pretty
This,
sure that how this would go, but um, if you could, maybe just
yeah.
give some example to it.
Yeah. So this is a tricky question, but okay. So what I would say that you can't really take the ego completely out of the writer or an author, otherwise nothing
Hmm.
would be created at all.
Hmm.
So I feel like there has to be a certain balance of ego and also the ability to take criticism in terms of like for you to grow and improvise your book or any art for that matter.
Right.
So
Right.
I feel like there's this need in any art form to have a balance between ego and the ability to take criticism. And yeah, if you talk about example, then like we can talk about myself. Like if I had no faith in myself that whatever I will create will not be read or will not be heard by people, then I would not just create anything. I would just
Right.
like not even go out and talk about it, because I'll be so underestimating my own self that I would never feel that I could ever create anything that would be loved by people.
Right.
So having
Absolutely.
a bit of ego will definitely, I think it matters. But at the same time, I feel like when I created the book, I made 10 different people read it and also took their criticisms or maybe like a certain suggestion that was to improvise my own book. So I had
Hmm.
to believe that my book had a scope of improvisation. So, and
Absolutely.
I'm still actually constantly changing certain things, and there could be grammatical mistakes, for example, that you could make, and there could be somebody who's brilliant in
Hmm.
English could be suggesting that, and then why not you just make
Absolutely.
those changes or use a certain word which is more powerful than the word that you used. So yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. There has to be a balance between both the things, and either ego going too big or going too low, it won't really help. So you have to find out the right balance.
Yes.
Yep. All right. So Pariti, did you ever consider writing under a false name or a false identity? Just maybe just for, maybe just for fun.
No.
No, never.
No, never.
All
I
right.
haven't. It's a funny question, but no, I haven't. Although I like all the characters also in the book, like the names
Uh-huh.
that I've used, they're real because I felt, of course, like I asked permission from people who I've written about because it's really important that you ask them if they're
Absolutely.
okay. But not even a single person who had asked me to use a synonym,
Not.
a pseudonym, or like a fake name for them. So yeah,
Hmm.
I never thought that I'll ever write under another pen name. So yeah.
Right. All right. Okay, so now, next question. So, do you try more to be original with your own ideas and your own thoughts,
Mhm.
or do you ever sort of maybe, slip and try to
Mhm.
deliver what readers want, or do you try to strike a balance? So, how does it go?
Uh, okay, so for this, of course, this is the first book that I've written. I was on the other side, the left, like more original one. And because the purpose of the book was really to just write my heart out and really find these people who find the connection back with me.
Right,
Right.
right.
So it was more important for me to be more original than trying to be an author or trying to be somebody who like really thinks about, okay, what will this reader try to write? So this writing
Hmm.
was like so important to me to find a connection with the world that I had to be original. So I would
Yeah,
say that my writing style is more original so far, but we can definitely talk about if it goes awry or it changes a little bit, and then we try and like maybe I try to find a balance later when I keep writing more and more.
absolutely. And as soon as your second book is out, you are coming for the next episode. And
I
so on and so forth. Possibly even when we are like 70s and 80s, and hopefully this
would,
will still
would
be going on. So yeah.
yes, this will be going on for sure. It will be going on. So this is a beautiful initiative. It has to go on.
And your books will also keep coming in. So yeah, absolutely. For all the audience, Paridhi is coming back for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to put like compile all the poetry together in one book and then publish that. So let's see when that happens, along with illustrations. So yeah, but
Oh yeah, actually, I would like to actually talk about this part before skipping, as in before going to the next question. So
yeah.
I saw in some of your Instagram posts that you add illustrations. And so
Oh
do you
yeah.
do them yourselves, or how? Basically, I want to understand the process of it.
I just do it myself. So honestly, like my mom is an artist, but I never tried
Uh-huh.
my hand with either sketching or painting or anything. But I don't know, one fine day when the book was published, I was just doodling and I realized that, oh, why not I start illustrating my own poems, like maybe a little part of it or maybe a sentence or something. And I absolutely just got myself indulged in the process and I love doing it. So now I have
Yeah.
created like some 50 plus illustrations for my poems. So I'm trying to put
Wow.
them together in a book and let's see how that goes. But yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah, I absolutely loved all of those. That, it was absolutely a great idea. And I was like, oh, that's something new, that's something amazing, and that's something absolutely, which shows the passion and feelings and everything in just one single place.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shruti.
So loved it, and I'm so looking forward to see more of it. And
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Your poetry, whenever it comes out with all these illustration, I won't wait for the book to call me in that moment. I'll be
thank
like, okay, you know what? I want it, I want it, I want it, and I'll get it.
you. Great, thanks. Yeah.
All right. So if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
Mm, okay, this is a tricky question. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
I would. Yeah, I would just go and say that even the journal that you used to write is a book. So
Hmm.
yeah, all that you needed to do was to find that one common thread, and it could be anything, to tie them in a bundle together and publish it as a book.
Wow, I love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that
Hmm.
I would tell myself, like even my 12-year self, or since whenever I'm writing, probably that around that time, preteen. Yeah.
Right. Wow. All right. Uh-huh. We end up having such, you know, heavy because in sometimes in just one sentence it becomes so heavy that you have to just sort of, sit
Yeah.
and think, and then you have to realize, okay, you are on a call and you cannot really go on such a long pause. So I have to sort of, bring myself back. Okay, no, 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 right, not right now.
No,
Possibly you
but
can do it a
I
little later.
yeah, I wish like these times get over and you were able to do these conversations over wine, sitting like in front of people, because I think that's gonna be like more interesting, and you like have human touch and you can hug each other and be sitting in front of each other, like real
Absolutely.
human communion. Definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think I have to sort of, work on that idea that because of
Yeah.
obviously all the lockdown and everything, all of these are happening either on Instagram or the audio call. But maybe
Yeah.
I will think about having a proper like a talk show where I will
Yeah.
invite all the guests, and we'll sit with a bottle of wine or maybe two or three, however we need, and
Yeah, it
yeah,
can
just
go on
go
and on,
on.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely, and the conversations you won't have to stop. Just keep
Yeah.
going on. It's okay. The camera will keep recording, and maybe if the battery dies out, we'll wait for a little while. We'll
Yeah.
have it charge and get it back again. So absolutely, that's a great idea.
Totally, totally.
And
But
possibly,
yeah,
I
mhm,
recording one of the episodes with you in some part of Europe.
for sure. Let's like that should be the game
That should
plan,
be
I
absolutely.
think.
Like
Yeah,
the episode with you has to be recorded that way. There is no other way to do it.
yeah, maybe on a vineyard, sitting
Uh,
over the edge of a certain rock, watching the sunset or something.
oh, that would be amazing. We have to do it. Now you have just, planted that seed, and yeah, we have to just watch it grow now. And we have to make sure that it grows.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So, Paridhi, as a writer,
Hmm.
what would you choose as your mascot, your, as we say, I won't really say it in the English way, I'll say it in the Hindi way, avatar or your spirit
Yeah,
animal or some. So,
yeah.
what would you choose? What animal maybe you relate to the most, and yeah, you would just possibly just pick it up. It can be a mythical animal, anything, basically. Just go on.
So like you'll be able to see the reflection of this in my poetry as well. I write a lot about birds and songbirds.
Hmm.
So it's not like trying to find one, but it's just that I just relate to songbirds so much because I feel like songbirds have a voice to inspire people and the strength to really conquer and overcome any situation that they might be facing, and also the freedom to be anywhere in the world. So yeah, these three things, and I just really I feel like a songbird or a bird is my spirit animal.
Wow, that's just about right, I would say.
Yeah.
All
Although, like
right.
when I take these
Huh?
weird, I don't know, I think I took like this weird test a couple of months back or a year ago, like find
Uh-huh.
out what is your spirit animal or something. Although it came out to be wolf, but yeah, I've never really thought of
Ah,
maybe it's because of freedom or something. So yeah, Or maybe
Hmm.
because like you care about like it's a pack thing, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
like wolves like to live in a pack, so you're like more social or something like that. So yeah.
That's interesting, actually, that, yeah,
Mhm.
possibly that
Mm.
is just your land spirit or something, land spirit animal, if that makes sense
Yeah.
at all.
Oh yeah, 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 sure, sure. I think that it does. So because like yeah, the questions might have deciphered it based on that. Like, are you're more grounded or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, that's definitely interesting that in your heart you are a songbird, and maybe in some other world, in some other parallel world, you are a wolf.
Oh
Or
yeah,
maybe you are
sure.
just, half wolf and half songbird.
Oh wow, that creature would be amazing to be, honestly. Yeah, half bird and
Absolutely.
half
So,
wolf. Nice.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, that's a good thought to sort of, work on
Yeah.
maybe.
Now I'm imagining a wolf with wings. Wow. We haven't really seen a creature, mythical creature like that, yeah, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You can just create one now. You have all the
Oh
freedom to
yes.
have. Just go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
All right. So, Paridhi, before I let you go, it's just one
Mhm.
last question, more or less. So, do
Mhm.
you view writing as a kind of spiritual practice?
Absolutely, 100%. Like I think writing is something that purges me through and through. So I'm when I'm sad, I'm writing most of the time, and I'm just somehow really purged, and I feel that all the negative energy goes out of me, and it just like flies away somewhere, and I'm just this really happy soul after having written everything that was in there. So it totally is a spiritual thing for me.
Wow. Perfect. All right. So now I
Mhm.
just want you to, share any tips, any kind of encouragement, any kind of inspiration for people who want to write, who want to follow their dreams, who just want to, break the norms and just do things that they want to do. And because unfortunately, we now things are changing, but we still come from a society where
Yeah.
it's still very much very it's this thing is still very strong that kids are supposed to lead a life, in a particular way.
Yeah.
So please just take the take this time and inspire those people to just be who they are.
Yeah, yeah, I would really I would like to say that it's always about risking it once. And if you get yourself out of that comfort zone by risking it once, then you become so comfortable with actually risking it that it comes so easy
Mm.
to you and natural to you that you fall in love with the whole process of freedom of not tying yourself to certain conventional way of doing it. And honestly, like I would say it's not really risking. It's us who've defined it as risking. Like me coming back from Harvard, we define it as risking. Maybe sticking to Harvard was risky because I would be compromising with my mental health then. Or maybe I would be compromising with something else that I really wanted to do, which I wasn't able to do. Then I would call that a riskier situation than me being on the road with maybe just some money and like having amazing conversation with people and talking to people and creating art and writing. So risk it once and you'll know how it tastes and there's no going back from there. But you have to push yourself to risk it once. And for writers, I would say just write. Honestly, yeah, just like there's no like a rule book for it. But if you love to write, just write and put it together. It just becomes something beautiful when it's put together.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. You have just, put it together so beautifully, and I'm sure that our audience will connect with it, and yeah, it will just, show them a little light. And yeah, I am just so lost. I'm at a loss of words right now because because I think this conversation went so well, and I am just, sort of thinking in the future where I can see the audience connecting with it and, getting inspired. So that's
Yeah.
the whole idea, and I would like to thank you once again for sharing these tips and, sharing your mind and, pouring your heart out. And it's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful, and hoping to bring you back soon for more conversations and possibly, doing a video in Europe and doing the
Oh
video
yes.
version of this episode. That would be
Oh
absolutely
yes.
beautiful.
Oh yes. Totally amazing. It's going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Shruti, for having me over again. And yes, like it was a beautiful conversation. Haven't had a beautiful and a longish conversation like this with anybody in a long time. So absolutely enjoyed it. Absolutely.
I am so glad. And Paridhi, before you go, could you just, tell the audience where they can find your book and
Yeah.
where and how can they just buy it?
So it's on Amazon right now, both hardcover and Kindle version. Just look for All We Ever Look For, and you'll be able to find it in both the stores, like Kindle or just Amazon for hardcover. And it's soon going to be, when COVID, of course, settles down the situation. We're going to have it in bookstores in India as well.
Perfect.
Great.
Absolutely perfect. And now people know where they can read more about whatever we, just talked about and
Talked
just
about,
see it for
yeah.
themselves. Yeah. And just, basically sort of be a part of that journey and yeah, get inspired. So thank you so much for
Yep.
sharing those details.
Yep.
And yep, I
Thank
think
you
I
so
would
much,
just,
Shruti.
let you go now because I honestly I don't want to keep down the phone because this conversation is just so beautiful. But yes, I think so we should.
Great. Thanks a lot, Shruti. Great.
Thank
I'm
you,
gonna go
Paridhi.
for a run now. Bye bye.
Bye. Have a great time.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe.